Cloud, IT, and more. All at no cost to you. Yes, completely free. At the end of your training, we'll prepare you to earn free important industry credentials and help connect you to employers in your area. Find more jobs. Find a career. No tech experience necessary. Classes start soon. Apply today at usa.generation.org/training. That's usa.generation.org/training.
Dig your vinyl, man.
My budget doesn't. Calling time on collecting.
Don't give it up. State Farm has options to get you a surprisingly great rate.
Rock on.
Like a good neighbor, State Farm is there. Call or go to statefarm.com for a quote today.
Capital One's new travel card for people always asking,
where next?
You earn 10x miles on hotels and rental cars and 5x miles on flights booked through Capital One Travel and 2x miles on everything else you buy with Venture X. Plus, receive premium travel benefits like access to over 1,300 airport lounges. The Venture X card from Capital One. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. See CapitalOne.com for details. So I looked up my symptoms on the internet. Bad idea. There are some things we shouldn't have to do on our own, like getting a professional diagnosis or signing up for health insurance. Cover California made it easy. One of their reps walked me through my options, and I was able to choose a plan from brands I know. That stomach pain turned out to be nothing, but now I'm covered in case it ever is. Cover California, this way to health insurance. Enrollment ends January 31st at coveredca.com.
School employees are treated like the heroes you are. At School's First Federal Credit Union, everything we do starts with helping our members live better today and plan for tomorrow, like a low-rate auto loan with payment-free summers, an affordable home loan with a low down payment, a credit card that helps you save with cash back on every purchase, stress-free retirement planning, and expert advisors you can talk to anytime. Because you're not just our members, you're our heroes. Visit schoolsfirstfcu.org. Federally insured by NCUA, Equal Housing Lender.
But I wasn't sure how to take care of them. Carrying around a bucket was such a hassle. And even worse, my string mop left streaks and haze behind. Then I found Swiffer Wet Jet Wood, the all-in-one tool made specially for wood floors. Its microfiber-like pad is soft, and it sprays a light mist solution that dries fast. With Swiffer Wet Jet Wood, it's easy to keep up with the mess on my wood floors.
Swiffer Wet Jet Wood, proud member of the National Wood Floor Association.
By taking advantage of a special IRS tax hardship program. This program allows Americans who owe the IRS to resolve their delinquent tax debt once and for all. In some cases, maybe even reducing what you owe significantly. An open phone line has been established by Community Tax for consumers to call and see if they qualify. Simply dial 800-741-3179. If you owe back taxes to the IRS and cannot afford to pay them back or have years of unfiled tax returns, help is standing by. Just call the Community Tax Helpline today at 800-741-3179 for the help that you need. Don't take on the IRS alone. They can attack your wages, savings, pension, home, and even your Social Security check. Call 800-741-3179 to see if you qualify. That's 800-741-3179.
You don't just want Wi-Fi that's fast. You want Michaela Schifrin fast. You want Eat My Powder Blink and You'll Miss It iSki faster than you drive fast. You want Wi-Fi speeds faster than a gig, power all your devices and watch every single wow-worthy moment fast. You want gig speed internet from Xfinity.
Watch Team USA with Wi-Fi speeds faster than a gig. Or get started with Xfinity 50 megabit per second internet for $19.99 a month for 12 months with a 1-year contract. This offer ends March 31st. So go to Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit an Xfinity store today. Requires paperless billing and autopay. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas.
I'm Ed Sheeran, and this is iHeartRadio.
All your favorite stations, where you live or where you used to live. And of course, virtually every podcast on the planet at your fingertips, and it's all free.
All free.
If you don't already have it, download the free iHeartRadio app today. iHeart. Discover music, radio, and podcasts you'll love.
So if you don't know what to do this year, well, Princess Mitchell can help you. Looking for an opportunity in the financial field and you have a clear background? Well, Princess Mitchell can help you. Princess Mitchell is the Regional Vice President of the Now Network, and she wants to help you get your house in order. For more information, contact Princess Mitchell at 916-367-2463.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been
been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code TIME for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code TIME.
Nugenix, the #1 selling testosterone booster at GNC, has changed the game again for men over 40 with Nugenix Total T, their most powerful man-boosting formula ever, and guys all over America are raving about it. Jeremy P. says, "This is the best product I've found to raise T levels. I plan on using the product for the rest of my life." And how about Shane D? He says, "I had no drive and was tanked out at the end of the day. After 3 months, my energy level is through the roof. I work out like most 19-year-olds. I am 47. Guys over 40, you need Nugenix Total T. And right now, you can get a complimentary bottle. Just text ENERGY to 321-321. It's the #1 selling free testosterone booster at GNC. But you can only get your complimentary bottle by texting ENERGY to 321-321. That's ENERGY.
Let's get ready to rumble! Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton with Big C. This is Charlton on Big C Sports, coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, on the #1 network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the #1 sports show in the universe, according to people who love sports and don't speak as fast as me. I get that the phrase. Today's show is a beautiful. It is January the 24th, 2022. Born on the point day sponsor, the Infinity DJ. Welcome to the show. Today's show is sponsored by your Northern California Cadillac dealers, home of the all-new Cadillac Escalade, the standard of the world. You can buy and test drive yours, just tell them Charlton, Big C Sports Center, as well as a fleet of Cadillac cars. Also, all around the world, you can follow Big C Sports on 23 podcast applications all over the universe. Just add another one that's in that just came on just last week, and so I really do appreciate that after getting confirmation on that. It's called allfeeds.ai. I guess that's artificial intelligence. So allfeeds.ai is the latest for Big C Sports Podcast. And get us some praise. Come on, get us some praise. All over the universe, really do appreciate that. You can also follow Big C Sports, as I mentioned, on 23 applications all over the universe. Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast. You can follow Big C Sports on iHeartRadio Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, and also Podchaser. Give me some praise as I catch my breath. Come on, give us some praise as I catch my breath. Try counting to 10. In fact, I counted to 11 with all speed. You can follow Big C Sports on GeoSavan Podcast out of London, England, Podtail Podcast, YouTube Podcast, Hubhopper, Stitcher, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, and also Verbal Podcast. That would be 23. I can count. Give that some praise. I know how to count. Come on. Give that some praise. Everybody has to learn how to count. I've learned how to count to 23. You can also follow Big C Sports streaming all around the world on 4 streaming platforms: Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, Amazon Fire TV, and then a lot of smart TVs all over. Come on, producer of the universe. Get out the praise. Got to get my producer to wake up. What a beautiful day. Love, paying homage to my family legacy on my mother's side. My great-grandmother, Mamo, just a wonderful person. A great-grandmother, made sure the family always stayed strong together. Really do appreciate that. Also known for saying, boy, go get that switch. If that makes sense to you. I'm sure some people understand, go get that switch, what it means. Also, my great-grandfather, Pop, former Negro League baseball player, and also very well into the church, known for making the best moonshine in the universe. Get that to praise. Then, boy, that might be struck by lightning. Get up that bar. Oh, man, that makes me laugh. All the people were drinking down in Tennessee this morning. Then my grandmother, Madia, a seer, very smart business person, always doing what it took to keep the family strong. And my beautiful grandfather, Hezekiah, another wonderful individual. My beautiful mother helped start a Head Start program and a food program in Northern California also helped win the Little League Championship. But the universe, give mama some praise. Come on, give us some praise. A head start program, any food program to make sure that people can eat. Come on, that deserves a lot of praise. Really do appreciate that. Always making sure the family was strong. On my father's side, my grandfather, Albert Curry, a former pastor, owned 2 churches in Northern California, built the 3rd one in Central California, also had 2 service stations in Oakland, California. Really do appreciate that. Very smart businessman. And then my grandmother, Alberta Curry, working with my father with the churches, doing the church business, also with the service station, making sure the family stays strong. And then my father, retired Air Force fighter pilot, chief mechanic, making sure that planes can fly high so we can all stay safe at night. Always saying develop your mind to its highest extent. My beautiful brother Todd with his bombastic voice. Sounds like thunder and lightning at times that Todd would speak. My beautiful daughter Daisy graduated college with double honors, double majors, 3.5 years with honors at a major university. Would help me set up when coaches would come to the West Coast with Big C Sports, getting them signed in. Really do appreciate that. My beautiful son Malcolm, a college student, very intelligent, knows NBA stats all over, very smart, hardworking kid. Really appreciate him setting up stats for Big C Sports, and Big C with all of his wealth of knowledge in the past. Give it all some praise. Come on, give it all some praise. Give it praise, praise, praise. TD Jake's not the only one can say give it praise. You know, I know there's a lot of, Ngannou got another win over the weekend. Of course, you knew he would in the UFC. But I want to just challenge people that say, all the boxers that say, let's get ready to rumble. My grandfather, my great-grandfather used to say that all the time when he and his church buddies would get together and have that moonshine in the barn after church. I feel I can say, let's get ready to rumble. Welcome to the show as we nominated Big C Sports Podcast. No scripts, no 3-way teleprompters, no producer in my ear. I do it with my higher self. I always honor God and I walk by faith and not by sight. I always produce and then I direct the topics. I broadcast the shows. I do the sound effects based on what's provided by the agency. Really do appreciate that. We could all use more laughter in our lives. Really do appreciate that. And then on top of that, doing that, I also, the commercials were added by the agency in New York City. I provide the stats, the storytelling, and I also do the play-by-play. As I told you would hear, touchdown San Francisco, Debo Samuel. Well, it could have been special teams, but he did have a nice special team run too to let him kick off and come out of the end zone and start the second half. That helped the 49ers knock Green Bay out of the playoffs. And then I upload the show. It goes out to 23 podcast applications all over the universe. I never missed a show since starting Big C Sports on September 12, 2015 at Salem Media. Only had one app then. Now Big C Sports has 23 apps and streaming on 4 TV applications. Really do appreciate that. One of my favorite verses in the Bible is Genesis chapter 13, verse 15. And it says, for all the land that thou seest will I give you, and thy seed forever. In the book of James chapter 4, verse 2, said, you have not because you ask not. If you want something to just ask, give the Bible some praise. I said, give it praise, praise, praise. You just got to ask. If you don't ask, the answer's no. If you ask, the answer's probably going to be yes, eventually. So don't be afraid to ask. You can only ask until you get to yes, if that makes sense to you. There's a Veterans Crisis Hotline. I always ask people, like, it's nice to say we love our veterans and we thank God for our troops, but I also want to make sure that I give out the Veterans Crisis Hotline. People go through all kind of issues, especially with COVID. Sometimes people just don't get along, but COVID's done what if you could say? COVID's made a lot of people like, what does Spock say? Spock, are you out of your freaking mind? That's what Scotty said to Spock in Star Trek. Okay, if you're not a Trekkie, maybe you don't know what that means, but most Trekkies understand. Spock, are you out of your freaking mind? And COVID's done that to people. But if you know veterans going through issues, pick up the phone and call and get us some help. 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And give our veterans some praise. Come on, guys. Again, give them praise, praise, praise. They do a lot to make sure we stay safe at night. They'll stand on their head to get our veterans some help. Also, I want to say thank you to Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, God said, let there be light. Open your cell phones or electronic device and just say Play Big C Sports Podcast, and you will see the apps pop up all over the world. And just think about how that is. I think Star Trek was one of my favorite TV shows growing up. Captain Kirk, it was Scotty and Spock, of course. They were always using the tricorders in their hand. And so when you pick up the tricorder and you want to ask someone a question, you just pick it up and ask the question. And just say Play Big C Sports Podcast, and you will see the show pop up. Also very happy to be affiliated with ValleyHomesWeekly.com, a national real estate show that focuses on properties in Central California, the fastest growing region of California. Is the Central Valley, from the Grapevine all the way up to the Butte Mountains and in between. And then the NationalRealEstatePost.com. If you want to know what's going on in real estate in your neck of the woods, go to the NationalRealEstatePost.com. You will find guys who speak faster than me. Maybe. A close second, at least. Also, if you want to know what's going on with mortgages in your neck of the woods, go to MortgageDailyNews.com. That's MortgageDailyNews.com. You'll find out more about interest rates going on in this country. It's amazing how things are starting to creep up just a little bit. Also, working with 250 lenders that fund between $10,000 to $400,000 in funding. Funds can be used for any purpose: business startups, real estate investments, repairs and renovations, working capital, down payment assistance. You can do a lot with money. If the banks say no, give the Big C team a chance to help you. 250 lenders. There's a minimum qualification: 650 credit score, $27,000 annual income, no new credit lines in the last 6 months, and 2 years consistent income. If the banks say no, give the Big C team a chance to get you ready to rumble. Well, hey, that's a new ad. See, I just added that. Get a new chance to rumble. All's fair and love and war. So I really do appreciate giving that to you. My goodness, had a lot of sports over the weekend. Games that went right down to the wire. And I will say, since the Super Wild Card weekend started last week, and then the divisional playoffs this week, man, I should have okay, I shouldn't say this because I don't bet money, but had I bet money, I only lost one game. The only game I lost was the one where Ryan Tannehill threw 3 interceptions. I think I'm not going to say anything negative. Okay, that's the only game I lost. They sacked Joe Burrow 9 times, and Tannehill said, I'm going to throw 3 picks to make up for it. That does not make any sense. 3 interceptions in one game. And the defense did their job. That's the only game I lost. But did I really lose that game? Come on, Ryan Tannehill. 3 interceptions in one game? Come on, guys. That doesn't make any sense. But it's all fair level war. You gotta give the Cincinnati Bengals some praise. They won it. They got it done, and that's all it is. But had I listened to one of the bookies down in Vegas, and I know had I bet money, it probably wouldn't have worked out this way. But he said, had I given them that $500 when the playoffs began with the Super Wild Card weekend, I don't know how, this doesn't make any sense. How would I be up to $500,000 in winnings? Maybe I'm not that good with numbers, but that doesn't make any sense. But I think I did better than some of the bookies because I picked every game throughout the playoffs with the exception of the guy who threw 3 interceptions in one game. Come on, Ryan Tannehill. I would have been perfect undefeated. But it's all fair and love and war. I want to say give people who bet some praise. You got to have some stones if you want to bet and hope that you don't lose all your money. But man, I only lost that one game. That's the guy that threw 3 interceptions in one game. If you're going to bet, don't bet more than you can afford to lose. All's fair and level war. I want to say this segment sponsored by Budweiser Zero. It has 0% alcohol, 100% honest game. Sports fans, when you're watching the big game, you want to eat the Big C burger. It's a tasty burger, and it comes with all this exotic meat. It also tastes good with Big C coffee. But the best part of waking up is Big C in your cup. Try that off of the mouthful. The best part of waking up is Big C in your cup. It only comes in one size, extra large. No more small coffees. Why is your coffee cup so big? Oh, man. I got to tell my friend Jim Kosaric in Chicago, he wanted to bet me so badly. I told you I'm going to let him keep his money. He had Green Bay winning San Francisco. I said he obviously doesn't know people in Vegas. Give knowing people in Vegas some praise. Give him praise. I think I'm the only one in the universe outside of maybe Ryan Clark with ESPN that picked the Niners to beat the Green Bay Packers, and I gave you all the stats as to why. But special teams was the reason. Also, not letting Jimmy G throw more than one interception. That should have been a run play also, Shanahan, because they should have had a field goal where it didn't have to come down to Gold kicking a field goal to win it at the end. That's just a thought. Hey, you can't, anyone can criticize anyone. But there's something about that game, and I'll talk about those games too, but I really do appreciate football was just amazing over the weekend. Everybody has their own thoughts about how do you play good football. And when you go into that place, Green Bay, Lambeau Field, and you're the 49ers playing in 0-degree temperature. 0 degrees is a lot. I mean, that's cold. It's cold to dim their heels. But the Niners went in there and they got to win. It was a game that if you love defense, it was a great game. If you don't love defense, it did not live up to what Buffalo and Kansas City did. But that's all fair and love and war too. I'm going to take the time just to talk about some things that happen in the world of sports because I think it's amazing. It's amazing how this has been a presentation of the National Football League and television. I believe I read where the top 90 TV broadcasts, let me correct that. The top 100 TV broadcasts for NFL football, they rank, and NFL football ranks in the top 90 of 100 shows of all of 2021. Imagine how 2022 started out with a bang. It's just an amazing game. And anyone that is looking forward to football, or they feel like they're tired of football, as maybe they're just kind of burned out on the game and they don't really feel that it's worth their time to sit down and watch 4 football games in one weekend. To me, it was amazing. I don't know what else to say about it, but the 49, I gave this stat on Friday, and I said at that time the 49ers were the only team in the NFL with 3 or more sacks in their last 4 games. Now they're the only team, when you think about it, in the universe with 3 or more sacks in 5 straight games. You got to give that defense, Miko Ryan, some praise. You got to give it praise. You got to realize that defense does win championships. I know people want to talk about how great offenses were and Green Bay only scored 10 points. How dare they only scored 10 points? You want to know another clue about the 49ers? Before Jimmy G made everyone need some Pepto-Bismol against the Dallas Cowboys, they only had 7. Think about that. Green Bay and Dallas. If you just keep in mind what happened in that game. Green Bay and Dallas, the 49ers held the Cowboys to 7 points until there were about 7 minutes left to play in the game in Texas. Green Bay scored their first drive to take a 7-0 lead, and the rest of the game they were held to 3 points. And people say, I want to see a high-scoring offense. Defense wins championships. That's why the 49ers will advance to the Super Bowl. They have played in 6 Super Bowls, and they're 4-2 in those Super Bowls. This will be their 7th Super Bowl. And I'm just telling you something. They've only given Green Bay's and the Cowboys 1 solid touchdown until they had a couple of shenanigans, if that makes sense to you. They were down 17-0 to the Rams when they went to Los Angeles, and they had to win that game in order to make the playoffs. Outside of that, they outscored the LA Rams 27-7. The number 7 has a lot to do with this, doesn't it? You can write it down. You're only going to hear it on Big C Sports. They can play in their 7th Super Bowl. They gave the Cowboys legitimately 7 points until there were 7 minutes left to play in the game. They gave Green Bay 7 points on their first drive of the game. Think about that. And now they can go to their 7th Super Bowl when they beat the Rams on Sunday. Give that some praise. Nobody's going to tell you that with Big C Sports. Hey, give that some praise. Come on, guys. Give Give that some praise. I just gave you guys a clue. I know nobody believes it. I would be undefeated in the picking of NFL football. No one on television can say that but Big C Sports. And I'm one black man. The best in the universe. Come on, numbers don't lie. Listen to everything I said. I was saying, oh man, anybody can say whatever, but it's on tape. It's all on tape. But I want to tell you, 5 sacks of touchdown Aaron Rodgers, and that defense for the 49ers, Miko Ryan should be a head coach. Kind of bad for the 49ers next year because he should be a head coach. I've never seen Aaron Rodgers get flustered. But he's 0-4 in the playoffs versus the 49ers. There's gold in them their heels. The 49ers have had 8 straight games now of 3 or more sacks. That's 8 straight games. I think I shortchanged them earlier. 8 straight games of 3 or more sacks. Isn't that something? 8 straight games of 3 or more sacks. It's hard to lose when you do that. And people have their own thoughts about, it's offense that wins or defense that wins. Whatever you think it is what it is. It is what it is. I'm going to start with the Green Bay Packers and the San Francisco 49ers. But I'm going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, going to talk more about some football in the words of former California Governor Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'll be back. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 23 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV applications as well. Really do appreciate that. Also, I want to give a big shout out to sports agent Edward Davis of Checkmate Sports, part of the NFLPA, and represents athletes. Really do appreciate his knowledge with the sports agency, and he has a really good program and just a good mind, a good individual that helps a lot of professional athletes. Really do appreciate talking to Edward Davis of Checkmate Sports. But I want to go to Green Bay, Wisconsin. I don't want to go there, but at the game anyway. The 49ers, the Bang Bang Niner game was alive and well. And when you think about it, that's the same team. They were 3-5 at one point of the season. Now, if you go back to the football preview that I did, I said that the 49ers would make it to Super Bowl 56. And I believe they will. Unless shenanigans happen. I haven't been wrong about them. Now, when I think it's because of defense, they had to pull out the type of a late game performance with special teams that I didn't even see. I thought they would win it 28-21, but I did not see them having such a hard time moving the ball in the frigid cold, even if it seemed to affect Green Bay even more. But a 13-10 playoff win, the great Robbie Gould kicking the game-winning field goal Saturday at Lambeau Field. It was almost like theater. In the first half of the game, it was cold. There were guys out there running around with just T-shirts on and sleeveless, trying to get their bodies used to the cold. And then in the second half, just like clockwork, it had everything that Mother Nature would call for except for thunder. But it started snowing. It started snowing in the second half, and the 49ers turned up the heat, if that makes sense to you. But when I think about the game in the setting Lambeau Field, I told you that Deebo Samuel would become a household name at the end of this game. And he did. They put together a drive that needed the biggest moment. And who do they call for? It was wide receiver Deebo Samuel. Took a handoff. I think they had 3rd and 6. That's a passing down for most teams. But Shanahan, he knows how to coach. Sometimes he's too stubborn to do it. But he called a handoff to Deebo Samuel. And he got 9 yards when they only needed 6. And a first down at the Green Bay 38-yard line. And Samuels went on to set up a place kicker Robbie Gould's game-winning 46-yard field goal as time expired. I was just saying, I'm telling you, there's something about the sevens. I was there at Levi Stadium in San Francisco for the home opener, Bang Bang Niner game for the 75th anniversary. You hear that? 75th? 75th anniversary. What Super Bowl will this be for the 49ers? The 7th. They're going to be in the 2-1-3. Okay, maybe I'm listening to Las Vegas too much. But they're going to the 7th Super Bowl this year after they beat the Rams again. Think about it. San Francisco had a big game. George Kittle had a good game, even though it dropped an earlier ball. But there are times when you just count on playmakers. There was some toughness that was on display over the past several months. Here's that number again. The Niners went 7-2 over their final 9 games. Like going to their 7th Super Bowl this year, they held the Rams to 7 points after they were down 27, or they were down 17-0. Held the Rams to 7 points. Went to Dallas, held Dallas to 7 points with 7 minutes left in the game. Went to Green Bay. They scored 7 points on their first possession to only score 3 after that. The Niners went 7-2 over their final 9 games to get into the postseason. Isn't that something? They had a 17-point comeback win over Los Angeles. I'm going to talk about L.A. trying to limit fans from buying tickets outside of Los Angeles area codes. That's crazy. But it's all fair in love and war. This team has traveled this golden dim their hills, and they have a defense that held, I'm telling you, after being down 17-0 to the Rams, they held the Rams to 7 points. 7. Beat them in overtime. They held the Cowboys to 7 points with 7 minutes until 7 minutes left in the game. And they gave Green Bay just 7 points in the first drive. And they're going to go to their 7th Super Bowl when they beat the Rams on Sunday. Something about 7. I should start listening to bookies more often. Okay, who knows if someone throws a monkey wrench in it, okay? But what I've heard so far is accurate. But it's all fair and level war. The Niners realized they were a better team, more physical than Green Bay, because they did it in the cold. It doesn't get to 0 degrees in California. It just doesn't. If anything, it gets down into the low 30s. It rarely gets into anything less than 30 degrees in California, ever. So the 49ers special teams group had to come up under fire recently for struggles. They went into Saturday, and they just made it happen. Kyle Shanahan, he preached about special teams and how to run the ball. Green Bay special teams ranked 31st in efficiency, but it's something about that 49ers determination to just pound the ball and pound the ball and pound the ball. And Jimmy G is beating Aaron Rodgers in their 2 playoff games that they had. Isn't that something? You can Google it. He lost to Colin Kaepernick as well. So the Packers had a 4th and 19 in their own 12-yard line. The Niners defensive end, Jordan Willis, even had a high right ankle sprain, came through the middle, blocked Corey Burquest's punt, and the ball popped straight up in the air before landing near the safety, Taloga Havluga, if I can say his name right. But it's amazing how they have just played that bang-bang Niner game, that hardcore mentality. It reminds me of the defense from back in the day with Ronnie Lott, them good old boys. They're a good team. But taking nothing away from Green Bay, they are a good team, but they just ran up into a better team that punched them in the mouth. And after they went down the field like a hot knife through butter, people thought, wow, this is going to be an easy game. It just wasn't. And one thing about Gold, has not missed a field. I don't want to jinx him, but he's 20 for 20 on extra points. Field goals, he's 20 for 20. Extra points, 32 of 32 in his playoff career. Kicked the game winner with only 10 Packers on the field. The Niners became the first team since the 1988 Buffalo Bills to block a punt and a field goal in the same game. They became the 4th team to win a postseason contest without an offensive touchdown since the year 2000. I'm telling you, there's something about this team is amazing. You score 13 points at Lambeau Field, don't score a touchdown offensively, and you win the game. The Packers had 3 points in their final drive. 263 total yards. The Niners sacked quarterback touchdown Aaron Rodgers 5 times and came up with a fumble recovery. Rodgers is 0-4 against the Niners. Bang, bang, Niner game. I told you there's gold in them their hills. Think about that. In the postseason, 0-4. That's the most losses without a win by a starting quarterback against a single opponent in the playoffs since 1950. Isn't that something? So they came into Lambeau Field against the number 1 seed in the NFC. Green Bay, the last 2 years, they've been the number 1 seed in the NFC, and they got knocked out by Tampa last year, and they got knocked out by the 49ers this year. Everybody has their own thoughts about who the better football teams are. But if you play defense the way the 49ers do, and they're due for another good offensive game. They beat the Rams 31-10 in San Francisco earlier. And I remember that call. 31-10 at Levi Stadium. And then they beat them in overtime 27-24 in Los Angeles. And they're going to beat them again on Sunday because they're just more physical. And less shenanigans going. Do you want to guarantee a win? If Shanahan does it, run the ball 35 times. They didn't hit 35 carries against Green Bay too cold. Their special team saved them. But you want to beat the Rams, run the ball 35 times. You can pound them. Look what Leonard Fournette did. He's not Deebo Samuel, Elijah Mitchell, Brandon Ayuk, George Kittle, Husek. They have the team. Wouldn't even be surprised if Trey Lance came in and ran a couple of run plays. All's fair and love and war. What a great game it was. Now, the only game that well, first of all, I want to say give the 49ers bang, bang, Niner games a praise. Bang, bang, Niner game. Do-do-do-do. Bang, bang, Niner game. Come on, guys. Do-do-do-do. Bang, bang, Niner game. I'm not a homer. I might sound like one. But I'm just saying I would look pretty stupid if I was wrong about the Niners beating Dallas on the road and Green Bay on the road. I still have them beating the Rams on Sunday based on some things that I know in my spirit and some things I've been told. Give that some praise. I say you give that some praise. People can say, yeah, right, but mine's on tape. I can't run from it. The Titans and the Bengals, touchdown Joe Burrow. Cincinnati head to the AFC title game after Tannehill throws three. After Tannehill cost me from being undefeated in the playoffs with 3 interceptions. In one game. Burrow was sacked 9 times. The biggest win 1916. Man. When you think about Logan Wilson's interception of Ryan Tannehill set up rookie Evan McPherson's 52-yard game-winning field goal as time expired. The kick sealed the Bengals' first road playoff victory and their franchise first trip to the AFC Championship game since the great year of 1988. Give 1988 some praise. I say give 1988 some praise. Amazing. Come on, Wilson picked the Bengals the ball their own 47-yard line with 20 seconds left. And Joe Burrow was sacked 9 times. 9. Had a 19-yard completion to rookie Jamal Chase, who's going to be a Hall of Famer. I'll just say it right now. He's really good. And that put the Bengals in field goal range. And Jamar Chase reminds me of Michael Irvin in a sense. Came out of the U, played for the Cowboys. A couple of Super Bowls in his back pocket also. But McPherson also made kicks at 38 yards, 45 yards, and 54. Came out of Florida. People didn't really want him to draft him, but they got him. He helped them get the win. But really what helped them get the win was their defense. The Bengals defense, like the 49ers, the Bengals defense started and ended the game with interceptions at Tannehill, with both picks setting up McPherson's field goals. You got to score touchdowns if you're going to beat Kansas City. I know they beat them earlier in the year, the late game in Cincinnati. A different setting, different environment, going to be a different result this time. But it's all fair and love and war. The Bengals were a team that nearly didn't make the playoffs. They had to go down the stretch and beat Pittsburgh and beat Baltimore and Cleveland, teams that they were not expected to beat. But they did. I'm telling you, there's something about Joe Burrow. I know they're trying to make him the next Boomer Esiason, but you got more time to go before that happens. He threw for 348 yards, but sacked 9 times. The offensive line for Cincinnati is really bad. That's a clue. Most guys don't get sacked 9 times in 4 games. He got sacked 9 times in 1 game. Imagine what Kansas City is going to do just realizing he's sack prone. Tennessee's offense was really bad. Touchdown, Derrick Henry didn't get his groove on. It was 1 of 9 on 3rd and 4th downs. And even with that, Vrabel should have kicked the point after touchdown when he went for 2 inexplicably the first time they scored. It came back to bite them. The Titans' only big playmaker on offense was Brown, had 5 passes, 142 yards, and that included the game-tying touchdowns. They just couldn't get their running game going. And all in all, Cincinnati got the game done because a guy by the name of Ryan Tannehill, who makes a lot of money, he makes buku bucks, decided he didn't know what color uniform to throw to. And that caused me from going undefeated in the playoffs. But I ain't mad. Congratulations, Cincinnati. WKRP in Cincinnati. Ickey Woods, back in the day, played for the Bengals when they were going to the Super Bowl against the Niners. They're not going against the Niners this time. I think that was about 30-plus years ago when they played down in Miami. Not going to happen this time. But it was still just a great game for Tennessee. Hadn't made the playoffs in 31 years. Isn't that something? And then they came back to do their thing. All's fair in love and war. Give them some praise if that makes sense to you. But they got a long road going up against Kansas City, who has to just play. What in the world was Andy? I'll talk about that later. Don't run a freaking reverse with your quarterback or your receiver on the one. You did. I think it was 1st and goal from the 1-yard line, or they had 3rd and goal from the 1, and they run a sweep instead of having touchdown Patrick Mahomes. That was not smart, Andy Reid. They said that was Eric Bieniemy's call. Well, they give Andy Reid the credit all the time. Give that on Andy Reid too. They'll say, well, Eric Bieniemy, maybe he overthought himself on that one. What a game. It's not Tom Brady's last game. He led the NFL in passing yards and touchdowns. Is Tom Brady going to retire? No. Matthew Stafford, Los Angeles Rams, they beat the Buccaneers down in Tampa. Now, I said, for people that say, yeah, Carlton, what about that game? I said the Rams should win, and they have the better players. The Buccaneers are all banged up. Bruce Arians cost the Buccaneers when he kicked Antonio Brown off the team, because he would have caught at least 5 passes in that game, even though he's a hothead, so is Arians. But they had some injured receivers, but that one receiver would have made a difference in that game, even though people don't want to give it credit for that. But Bruce Arians also cost his team by being a hothead, and I mean, Bruce Arians didn't run a touchdown, didn't catch a touchdown pass, didn't block or tackle anybody. He got fined for slapping and playing it up inside the helmet. He's the wrong coach for the job, in my opinion, down in Tampa. If he's such a great coach, how come he couldn't pull a rabbit out of his hat this time? They were down 27-3 before shenanigans took over. So it's about the number 7, isn't it? But think about this. What a game for Matthew Stafford. Got his first win as a professional quarterback. But if they tried to give the game away. They tried to give it away. Stafford and the Rams, a dramatic 30-27 win over the Buccaneers at Raymond James Stadium. It was like it was being written by a producer in Los Angeles. When the ball sailed over his head, I was thinking, what kind of magic are they doing down in Tampa? You know, those Pirates have a lot of magical powers, right? But they nearly blew their load and got a chance to go to the NFC Championship game, losing 4 fumbles and a 27-3 third quarter lead to the Buccaneers, the defending Super Bowl champions. Stafford led a 63-yard drive in the closing seconds to set up the winning field goal. He was sacked right before the long pass. The Cooper Kupp. It's just one of those games where you don't figure. The Rams' defense was too tough for Tampa's offensive line. The Rams' 4th fumble loss, running back Cam Akers, who didn't want to put 2 hands on the ball for some reason. His second of the game set up the Buccaneers tying touchdown with 42 seconds left. On the ensuing drive, Stafford hit all-pro receiver Cooper Kupp, who inexplicably got behind the defense for gains of 20 and 44 yards to set up Matt Gay's 30-yard game winner. It was just a game that, if they were playing against a better defense, how did the Rams almost blow that game? Remember, they were up against the 49ers 17-0. They were up 27-3 over Tampa. Isn't that something? It's amazing how the Rams are just trying to screw up the season because they don't, for whatever reason, this a team that's like La La Land. You can't really trust on them. They would have been the only team to lose a 24-point lead in the playoff game and still was the Chargers in 1981, another California team. Do you trust the Rams? You can't trust them with the lead. You definitely can't trust them when they're behind. Von Miller had a strip ball of Tom Brady, recovered it early in the fourth quarter. Still celebrating on the sideline when he heard the crowd roars. Tampa Bay fell on a center snap that had sailed past Stafford. On the ensuing play, the Rams pressured Brady 17 times, the most against him in this season. Brady also got a personal foul, saying some things to the official didn't like, got tagged for that. But the Rams became the first team to win a playoff game after losing 4 more fumbles since the 1975 Pittsburgh Steelers, who won the AFC Championship game against the Raiders despite 4 lost fumbles. What do you think about that? It's amazing how this game went. Stafford was 28 of 38, 366 yards, the third most yards on a single game. In the Rams' postseason history, he had touchdown passes to backup tight end Kendall Blanton and also Cooper Kupp. Finished 9 catches, 183 yards, and they decided to let him get deep in the fourth quarter when it mattered the most. It's amazing. 70-yard touchdown pass to Kupp put the Rams ahead up 17-3 early in the second quarter. And then Stafford had a 1-yard rushing score. He had a good game. But did he really? Tampa Bay didn't even play inspired for whatever it is. Stafford was 10 of 15, 120 yards on a touchdown against the Blitz. 10 of 15 against the Blitz, 120 yards. And a 44-yard completion to Kupp. I just felt Tampa Bay they shot their load when they got rid of Antonio Brown. No one wants to look at that. They want to say, oh, Tom Brady had a chance to come back. His offensive line is bad. Well, he didn't have favorite guys to throw to that helped him win the Super Bowl last year. So it's all fair and level war. Give the Rams credit for holding on and winning. You have all-pro defensive tackle Aaron Donald, who had 3 hits and a sack on Brady. And that's a team, they were just getting after it. They deserved to win. They played like they wanted to win. They played better football. And Tampa Bay was without a lot of stars. But give the Rams some praise. I said give the Rams some praise. All fair and level war. What a great game. I mean, you had to come back and sit down on your seat because a lot of people thought it was over. And then there's some thoughts. Can Brady come back and do it again? This ain't the Tuck rule, guys. That also happened against the California team. Now, when you think about one of the best football games I've ever seen in the history of the universe, the Kansas City Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills, they put on a show for the ages. It was absolutely amazing. A 42-36 overtime win. And when I think about touchdown Patrick Mahomes, with 13 seconds left, drove them down in the field goal range. Kicker had already missed a field goal and an extra point. So they already had 4 points that they left on the field. But with 13 seconds left, that's all it took touchdown Patrick Mahomes to get to the field goal range and force overtime when he hit Kelsey. Isn't that something? They knocked out Buffalo on a quick 8-play, 75-yard touchdown drive to send Kansas City to the AFC Championship game in overtime. And the quarterback game was masterful between Josh Allen out of Fireball High School in Central California. One of the smaller high schools in all of California, played one of the biggest games the NFL playoffs I've ever seen. But Patrick Mahomes is a magician. With 13 seconds left, didn't panic at all. They knew exactly what to do. He played a great game. But so did Josh Allen. The quarterbacks looked like they were just a clinic on teaching how to play the game. The Chiefs with 69 rushing yards on a diving touchdown. He was nearly flawless from start to finish. He beat the number 1 defense in the NFL to the tune of 378 yards and 3 touchdowns. But again, Buffalo plays in the AFC East. They just got to beat. The Dolphins had a decent team this year. They were almost a 500 team. The Jets were not a good team, and then New England kind of fluttered down the stretch. But you got to give Buffalo credit. They're a good team. But they got him. They got half for 378 yards and 3 touchdowns. Mahomes, no turnovers. Had he had 1 turnover last night, may have lost him. He spreads the ball around like nobody else. He's a run-pass option on every time he has the ball. Josh Allen, on the other side of the line, he was shining bright. Like the catfish down in Fireball, California. They shine under the water. It's amazing to watch how hard he played. This kid came out of Wyoming, University of Wyoming, and also I think he went to Kings River College, Junior College in Wheatley, and Fireball High School. That's up there in the Fresno area. The Buffalo's defense, they could not stop him in overtime. It was just a great game, though. Kansas City threatened to blow the game open earlier, but some missed opportunities. When you think about it, down 9, that good old boy from Fireball, California, threw a deep pass to Gabriel Davis for a 75-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter. He responded time and time again. It's amazing how he looked like he's been in the league for 5 years. But he's not. On a 4th and 4 scramble, he avoided 3 sacks to pick up the first down. He did it with his legs. He led Buffalo with 68 rushing yards, looking like O.J. Simpson at times, on 11 carries. It was an amazing performance. 13 seconds. 13 seconds is all they needed for a touchdown Patrick Mahomes to get him in the field goal range. And then what do you say about the breakaway speed from Tyreek Hill? That good old boy, must have run about a 4.3 40. Mahomes needed big plays. His top weapon stepped up big time. 11 catches, 150 yards for a touchdown. Tyreek Hill is faster than fast. And he's like they call him the cheetah, but he's more like a rabbit. Or I guess a cheetah would maul a rabbit. So let's keep him on the. He's an amazing football player. But what I love about this game is you didn't know who was going to win it until it was over. You just don't know how great football is until you see games like this. Hill and Kelsey, they combined 19 catches, 246 yards, 2 touchdowns. That almost equaled their output of last year's championship game when they beat the Bills. 22 catches, 290 yards, and 2 touchdowns. But it's amazing just watching touchdown Patrick Mahomes do his thing. He lit it up. And I just love the way this game ended up. There were people that said, you want to crown him? Crown him. And Patrick Mahomes said, no, not so fast, my friend. Everybody has their own favorite quarterbacks and favorite players they want to see play. But when you watch touchdown Patrick Mahomes, and he's so cool under pressure, it's amazing. These guys are going to see each other again. What a great game. One of the greatest divisional rounds of NFL history, in my opinion. The fireworks provided by a guy from Fireball High School and a guy from Texas. 2 quarterbacks. Mahomes and Allen. On every level, they showed what quarterbacking is. A run-pass option. And they give you a run-pass option that makes it hard to come up and stop the run, or when you're going to step back deep and try to cover the deep pass. That's what they give you. They're 2 of the best teams in the AFC entering the weekend. And Sundays, I think people can come away saying either team could have won that game. It's like the last team with the ball was going to win. All the point spread, I think it was 2 points. It dipped down to 1.5, then 2. I think Big C Sports is the only sports prognosticator in the universe that said that Kansas City would win that game. And I said they would win because I didn't think that anyone had an answer for touchdown Patrick Mahomes. Anyone can say that. But you can Google it. They were favored by 2 points. Kansas City was. But the odds makers were saying that they all thought, I would say 90%, were pulling for Buffalo to win. And they were about 13 seconds from being right. I'm going to pat myself on the back because it's a pretty sad dog that won't. Well, can a dog pat himself on the back? Yeah, I knew a dog that could pat himself on the back when I was a young boy growing up. So, okay, it's a pretty sad dog won't wag his own tail. I knew a lot of dogs that would wag their own tails. But I'm telling you, it's just a great way to watch football over the weekend. And I love being a part of this business. I want to give all the playoff teams some praise. Give them all praise. I say give them all praise. They deserve it. We're going to take what's called the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. When I come back, we're going to close out with a story about the Rams and some NBA. We'll be back in just a moment. All right, we're back from the Big C pause, also known as the Big C timeout. You can follow Big C Sports 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 23 podcast applications all over the universe. And streaming on 4 TV applications too. A small schedule tonight. NBA basketball, Monday, January 24th. New York Knickerbockers at the Cleveland Cavaliers. You have Indiana playing at New Orleans. Chicago down. I got to get my producer to pay attention to this. Chicago's down at the OKC Thunder. Got to get back. Oh, man. And the Utah Jazz down in the Valley of the Suns, taking on the Phoenix Suns. That game is already live on NBA TV. So may the best teams win. All's fair and level. I can't wait for the weekend when the Brooklyn Nets visit Chase Center in beautiful Northern California to take on the Steph Curry and Klay Thompson and the Golden State Warriors. But that's down the line here in the Bay Area. I got to touch on Southern California, Northern California. California is the most populous state. Some say 50 million people, others say 40 million. I only counted 40 million when I was doing all the counting. I don't know where the other 10 million came from. That makes sense to you. But I got to tell you, the last time the 49ers went to Southern California, it was about 60% LA fans and 40% Niner fans. But the Niners talked about having more fans making more noise, and the LA had to go to a silent count at home at SoFi Stadium. So there was some things that came out. Ticketmaster, they had at one time restricted fans outside of the LA basin from buying tickets with their credit cards. If you have a friend in LA, just have them buy the ticket, give them the money. I don't know why they did that. But a notice, Ticketmaster, that restricted NFC Championship tickets to those with zip codes in Southern California was removed from the ticketing site website this morning. Now, fans who had previously been attempting to buy tickets received a notice that public sales to the game at SoFi Stadium in Inglewood will be restricted to residents of the greater Los Angeles region, and residency will be based on credit card billing addresses. Check out what you can use a credit card anywhere in the country. And they say, well, they got to be tied to your home address. Okay, call a friend, and then that's what scalpers do. You buy tickets and you sell them. I don't know why that makes any sense. If your fans in LA get shouted down by the fans in Northern California, don't punish the fans in Northern California. So Ticketmaster said they won't do that, because if that's the case, you couldn't buy tickets in anyone's stadium. If the 49ers bring the Bang Bang Niner game down there, they deserve it. But it appears the Rams are already afraid that the 49ers will make SoFi Stadium their home of the South. And they're trying to restrict ticket sales for potential NFC. Well, it's not going to happen. They've already pulled it. They've already said they're not going to restrict sales. But can you imagine to restrict sales just to the region where the team is? So what do you do with teams that don't have sellouts? You're going to have empty stadiums? Doesn't make sense. But it was a source close to the Rams, to the Los Angeles Rams, said that the tickets are sold out, and that's why the policy is no longer in effect. And the person also said the Rams have no control over how their tickets are sold on the secondary market, encouraging scalping. Oh, that's just funny. They can't control the scalpers. So the Ticketmasters released the following statement that, quote, Ticketmasters works on behalf of their clients and the event organizers. Ultimately, those decisions lay with them, and we act at their direction. So the 49ers and Rams last met week 18 with the 49er faithful Bang Bang Niner game coming into the SoFi Stadium, and they had a sea of red Bang Bang Niner game. Come on, y'all. It was Bang Bang Niner game, and they went down there to SoFi Stadium, and they had more fans with San Francisco, and they ended up winning the game. All's fair in love and war. I can't wait for this weekend to get underway because I love football, and you could love it too. Back in the day, there's a man by the name of Drew Boudini Brown. He was known as Muhammad Ali's right hand man. He You would always tell Ollie, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, you're rumble, young man, rumble. With all you got to use, how can you lose? Ollie would say, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. With all these Big C burgers in my stomach, and the Big C coffee makes me land on my feet. And I'm always rumbling. I love sports. My beautiful mother always says there's no excuse for racism or domestic violence. If you know any man, woman, or child going through that garbage, pick up the phone, ask for help. Because no man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. And as we always tell you, on every Big C Sports Show, we thank you, we appreciate you, and we hope that you have a super fantastic day.